You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. A lot going on in the nation. A lot lost in the nation. A lot of illusion in the nation. A lot of corruption everywhere. Bible calls it corruption. What they tell you they're doing. Again, a little glitch there. Maybe we'll fix it. So, what happened tonight is I listened to different religious programs at different times in my life, and a lot of time God had me look at the Christian Science people, see who they were, and whether they loved God and that thing, whether they loved their neighbor, that. And they're not bad people. It's just a very difficult system to operate unless you had a certain life. So God said, I built a lot of different type of Christian systems. And I'll disclaimer now, I don't necessarily believe that we're using doctors. That system might work for somebody who has a certain health level of health, certain quality of life. God says that He's built certain systems so that everybody has a place they can go to live a successful life. Some become Christian Scientists, some become Baptist, some become Lutheran, whatever it is. But what's happened is evil has entered in and owned the churches and destroyed the system. And they're trickling it back to the people. Again, the same reason Jesus came to earth. Judaism had fallen, was calling people sinners while stealing the wealth of God's system, power of God's system for personal corrupt use. Happening in some churches. Now, if you go back to what I say the whole time, what I have to do is sleight of hand a little bit to get prophecy to work the right way, prophecy system that God built. I've told you all along that there's people in every segment of society that are evil, but yet too secret. What I call the secret fish. You have Christians and non-Christians in government places that are moving good work, but I can't tell you that all the time. That's not how prophecy works. And a lot of them know, and I just heard from one of them, a lot of them know that's what's going on, what I say is going on. They know that's going on, but they, as the secret fish society people, they can't expose themselves or they'll be out there in the street exposing themselves if the CIA types get them to do that. Surreptitious drugging and psychological warfare, Leppy spy, craft, spellcraft. So what happened tonight was I was listening to the Christian Science program while I sleep, angered to watch. Again, they're not trying to move me into church, trying to block me from church. Yeah, that's not the government's place to begin with. They go, well, he's dangerous. far as the secret fish society, people know exactly what that means. I know about crimes of what you all call the deep state of the criminal employees, federal, state, and local. I'm dangerous to them staying outside of prison. So I was listening to the program, staggered them, and they started spelling. Who knows what time they could have started spelling at midnight. But around 4 o'clock, just before 4 o'clock, it woke me up. Horde of demons here brought to my humble abode by the government criminal devils, federal, state, and local. All I have to do is not listen to that program, right? No, because then it'll be the next program. So if I were here looking at pornography or bomb making online, they would make me feel very well and pleasant doing that. That's what your government's doing. It's gone. I've told you it's all gone. There's nothing left. If you happen to be part of one of their cliques, well, whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo. Government is government. Can't dismiss government from being government when you're part of government just because you don't like that part or don't want to be part of it or be known to be part of it. The president has made some errors. I think he's being manipulated. I don't think he's pulling as many strings as he thinks he is. So again, you have to be careful because what they're doing is creating your deep state mind. Anytime you go into government, they're trying to create your deep state mind. Now, deep state's a funny word because it's not really biblically descriptive of who they are. You know, they're the devils, demons, antichrist, saucer. Well, things are moving in whatever direction, but it's really just going in circles. The nation is running after tail. Nothing left. And that tail happens a devil's tail. Bible tells you go to church all day and still be the Antichrist. Yeah, and I condone no violence against anybody nor the church, any religious society. Laws are clear, the Constitution is clear, rabbis' intention by Jesus kind of said to live and let live. However, the government is who I say they are. We're talking about decades and decades of spells being heaped into my life, being reinforced by physical, psychological warfare. And I'm not the only one. That's your government, nothing else. Wake up. It's all gone. It crashed decades ago. President Trump isn't resurrecting anything. Irregardless of what he believes he's. I don't condone misuse of funds and things such as that. However, if you're going to arrest disabled veterans, you don't sit up there in some government position and say disabled veterans aren't above the law. I mean, that's disgusting. I mean, is that how you feel good about it? By making such a gross and anti-American statement? The government's gone, man. Wake up. It's been gone. Gives you a couple trinkets. You're ready to assassinate your neighbor for it. God's destroying the United States with the rest of the world. No, I'm not saying what the deep state, what the criminals in government, what the corrupt ones, what the Antichrist wants you to think or say that I'm saying. I'm not saying that the United States is somehow worse than the rest of the world. We still maintain ourselves as the lead nation. But defecation is defecation. Criminal behavior is criminal behavior. Criminal government is criminal government. That's what's going on. The entire planet is being destroyed. And the fall of it will be great. It is great. Y'all think you're funny doing what you did to me under the cover of COVID-19. Led to the physical injury, the same thing that happened in Naples, Florida. You tracked it, you knew it, you had it written down, you had it in your head. Whatever way you did it, you knew you were doing it, you do it, and you're going to hell. And so is this country right now, as it was yesterday. Tyler, Texas has a suicide murder machine. I don't want to hear about Louis Gomart. One man. Who knows what he knows or what he doesn't know? Tyler, Texas murders people for Satan. You want me to speak something that you're going to say through me? Well, I through you. Tyler, Texas is a murderer and a son of Satan. I don't care who their congressman is. He's an illusion at this point. murderers, psychological warfare murderers. You can read about their programs over and over again throughout history. Well, we'll call it investigative technique. I say they're dangerous. Dangerous. The same system used to murder Rabbi Jesus Emmanuel Christ. Ben David, son of David. Ben Elohim, son of God. I might never heal of this, but it's obvious that your nation's not going to heal of what's going to happen. Now, I don't condone physically acting out. The Bible is clear. God will destroy the thing that harms us. That is. I mean, what do you see out there? You see a nation that can be restored? When? Where? How? Now, my brother, he's not a ultra conservative Republican. He's kind of a middle of the road Republican. I guess years ago we called them the Volvo Republicans. But he raised my nephew, his son, to be Republican, essentially, and he's liberal. You can't raise a nation to be Republican when you're part of it. You actually have a higher responsibility as a Republican to refrain from what I'm speaking about than Democrats because of what you all claim to be. And again, you save a child to do what in their lifetime? Have them assassinated? It's not a matter of doing what the quote-unquote government wants you to do, whether it's a legal government decision or corruption decision. It doesn't matter. If a government person says, I want to murder that person, they get to murder them. The way it works. And they'll even say it in their private circle. Power! Power! Oh, God will show you power. Been showing you power, hasn't he? One of the signs that you're noticing is that God's putting you out of office after 1 or 2 terms. Like I said, he's tougher on the Republicans because of what you claim to be. And you claim to be Israel. Essentially, that's one of the confusions in Christianity when it becomes another religion. Because you lose focus on having the responsibility of Israel. Oh, it's been a crazy last few months, sure. End of June, I was ready to walk, right? They got angry at that. They got angry when I drive a car. They get angry when I ride a bicycle. Then what's the last thing? I'm walking. They got angry because I'm walking. Now I'm having trouble walking. God is not mocked. Nation is suffering. Law enforcement is suffering. I don't have to worship law enforcement and say there's nobody there doing anything wrong. I don't have to. There's no requirement. In fact, it's satanic to worship law enforcement over God and everything that is good. But I believe law enforcement has some good people. But yet there's none good, no, not one. The Bible tells. Again, you're asking me to trade what the Bible says if somebody happens to have a badge and a gun. But if you were to get to that point of allowing that criticism, then where would we be? We'd be square. I probably wouldn't have to talk to you. Probably wouldn't have to speak about anything. You fell long ago, law enforcement. NYPD is a cesspool of criminal corruption. And if you got buddies in the FBI, you got nothing to worry about because they're part of the criminal corruption also. Again, it's tribal warfare, not law enforcement. NYPD still has that spycraft psychological warfare unit. All they got to do is turn on cameras across the country. They're in every city in the United States saying they're working some case for their city. Meanwhile, they're working corruption. They're working criminal enterprise. They're working spycraft murder. They're psycho! Wake up, man! They're psycho! Nothing left in their head but mush and Satan! You know these cops exist! You use them! You're going to hell! That's why cops are being killed. No other reason. Don't lie to yourselves. It's a spiritual event. It's not physical. Am I telling you to kill law enforcement? No. But the prophecy has to be spoken. Am I a prophet? Of course. You've seen what I've said for the last 15 years. Of course I'm a prophet of God. Satan, government, private sector cronies, Satan. You're Satan. Quit waving church membership cards or Hindu membership cards or Muslim membership cards. There's a group of people in every community that are the muckety mucks, the secret society nowadays. But they'll wave a religious community membership in front of your face all day long to prove that they're holier than thou. Your CIA's garbage, man! They stole your country! They don't care if your child's on drugs! Just part of the business of stopping drugs and making a famous name for themselves. There's nothing left. Quit lying to yourselves. There's nothing left of Israel, and there's nothing left of the United States. Look in the Bible. It tells you that God destroys Israel. What do you think he's doing here? Is it because a few people get abortion, or is it because you're willing them and destroying them so they get abortions? It's you, man. It's you in government. It's you sitting in the church. It's you telling people not to get abortion while you curse them off and screw them when there's somebody else after the abortion in a normal life trying to make them sexualized, radicalized, separatized, quote-unquote, liberal. What they do in a Republican conservative community is call their victims liberal and try to make them liberal. What they do in a liberal community is call their victims conservative and try to make them conservative. That's what your government's doing. The rest is an illusion. Yeah, they have people to come by with sirens, lights, and sirens to run code and pick up the pieces. The government of the United States was gone and is gone. The governments of the world were gone and are gone. I'm not telling you that the United States is worse than some nation. So don't let the deep state, don't let the CIA, don't let Satan get in your head and say, oh, he's anti-American because he won't wait from Satan in the form of law enforcement or in the form of a president or in the form of whatever we say it is today. The president could not be with Satan but still be used to cause a worship of Satan. The president's being manipulated by several communities. Quite frankly, if you watch, he seems to only protect certain people. But that's because why? He's being manipulated. It's Hollywood. Politics is Hollywood. You know, they point, oh, look at Hollywood over there. Hollywood over there in your own backyard, D.C. Devil, see? Washington, devil, see? Again, within Washington are secret fish society people. You know, they exist. I'm here listening to their voices, spiritual voices, because it's a will and a feeling. Yes, you get below the anti-power raises. Can't hear them, just experience it. Whatever causes that sin in somebody's life is the blame. Now remember, you're not supposed to continue on and sin, but if you do, because we all do, you never really purify. The more you think you're pure in the mind, the more fallen you probably. Trading sin for sin. And then when you get into the establishment cookie cutter profile of who you're supposed to be, then you're sinless. But you're probably sinning more than you've ever done. You probably become a devil, demon, and antichrist. They cursed me for walking down the street to go shopping. They got everything they wanted. They really did. They wanted me to stay inside and only go out for food shopping, and that's it. Under COVID, that happened. I knew that's what they wanted. Week you go food shopping, or once every 2 weeks, that's all you get to go out. It kind of happened for them. That wasn't good enough. If you stay in those extended stay suites in Tyler that you would find that there are people that mysteriously disappear. You know, there's people that work there, they go and they cast lots for their belongings and throw the rest. That's Tyler, Texas. Nothing else. The rest is an illusion. Obvious why you have the number of suicides you have in Tyler, Texas. I stood face to face with Satan and his suicide machine in Tyler, Texas, and I crushed it. But meanwhile, you have law enforcement people working that suicide murder system. So, well, if you didn't come, well, you know, be careful what you're actually condemning yourself. You're the ones that are corrupt and have committed crime, including sexual crime. A lot of times, the thing that they hold over somebody's head is that they have committed some sort of sexual impropriety or sexual. If you're in office today, they want you to have had a sexual history, at least a sexual impropriety, so they can hold you over your head. Reality is it's no real protection. Because as soon as somebody says take that person out, they take you out anyway. Bob Levinson. I was like, all those years of service, doesn't it mean something? It wasn't just speaking because he was kidnapped. It was because, hey, you have turned on me and left me out here. Actually put him. No way Bob should have been there. No way. So they were angry that I was listening to what spiritual program was he listening? Seems like something he shouldn't be listening to. Baptist, Catholic. World they live in. They join church like that just to be able to manipulate. Sometimes they're just they're trying to say, "Oh, you're just getting old." No, I wasn't just getting old. You decided to do me like you did in Naples, Florida. You're blind to me. I couldn't see the signs, and it happened. Sour grapes. I'll show you. Afterlife exists. I'll go into. Some things aren't repentable. I mean, it isn't. What you all want people to believe is that some sort of question is, and God, man, and God, and times courts, God is now well and good. Works help heal. If it works for you to, or works for God to fear the person to maybe go to, that's what you're doing is trying to judge. I would say that if you cause people to fall, being a clerk in the government,
Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you that ye resist not evil. For whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek,
Master, this woman was taken in adultery, in the very act. Now Moses, in the law, commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? What sayest thou?
he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. man was that Judas. Hath no man condemned thee? Neither do I. Go. And so.
Well, I just got up kind of luck there, and hello. What do we got going on here? Looks like something's going on with the sound that's working. So that was the cue from God that I should look for a video at that point for another reason. I wanted to take a break. Oh, God said look for a video. And that video happened to be there and it fit. And Jesus did send a message in there that I was not condemned for anything I may have done. And no, I haven't committed a sexual. But you should understand that most people that are holier than thou are committing sin and abomination in that part of it. And also, as one of those things where Jesus is, and you know, when you get into the courtroom, you hear people say, if I don't forgive you, Jesus won't forgive me. Oh, it's a little something bigger than that, but that if that's what it takes, it takes. And sometimes they say that to help Christians understand how to carry themselves around law enforcement and the courtroom. That's not Jesus' court. That's not Father's court. No matter how many Christians or how many Jews run it. But yet they'll tell you or infer that it is, right? It's kind of weird because the superscription on the money is a whose superscription's on the money. It says Caesar's. Ours does say United States of America, but yet it says in God we trust. It's kind of a weird thing that it's there. I don't think it should be there from a spiritual perspective. And crossing the streams, confusing people that government isn't God and God isn't government. Now, it says to obey those appointed over you, which is true. You're to obey them, but at a certain point, if they fall into the other group of people that are in government and false government people, then God will overthrow them. You have to prophesy before God does that. So what they do is they sit on the computer, they watch and listen to devices. They actually know when I'm sleeping. They can hear me snoring. So when I begin to snore, they curse me harder and disrupt my sleep. I've been woken up just as I was falling asleep. I know it's them. Because God tells me. This is how deep they are into my life. Is there foreign intelligence people? Yeah, they all work together to make themselves the power people of their home nation. Whether enemies or friends. an illusion. There are a certain percentage of people in each country that believe that they're an angel of a doctrine of angels, that they're here to be above you, created a little higher than you. Well, that's what president, where the president's probably going. He doesn't understand quality. I don't think Joe Biden does either. And a lot of people don't. It isn't not like singling the president out other than that he's the presidents have. But people get into this idea where they are in society because of something they've done, something they do. For that person somewhere else do. But if you project that, then that illusion will exist. And that's where we are with that. Again, there's nothing left of the government. Nothing. Do police officers patrol and protect people? Yeah. But that's not what I'm saying. You see, you've actually changed the discussion and made it something else. And that's what politics is doing. You can see neither side is actually saying anything of value. They're just trying to get elected. But I do have to admit, I don't know how real Joe is. And the Republican Party has figured we have to attack his veracity because what he's saying is marketable and is, in some regard, what's needed. What the people will vote for. So they say, well, what makes you think Joe's going to be any different? Well, the Bible tells us anybody could be different. Even the president could be different. But there is a sin unto death. People in the government that I'm speaking about have committed that sin unto death. It takes a little bit higher adjudication to figure out, and I'm not judging people, but based upon what we're instructed in, what would most likely be happening in that person's life kind of thing. People that have committed to sin unto death, God has to judge them. Jesus said that it's over for them. So again, it's an upside down, backwards world. People that have committed to sin unto death are being worshipped in this country. Again, I'm not saying to act out against anybody, because that's what they'll say now. Well, secretly, his psychology is. Well, quit torturing people and distorting psychology, because it's still not their psychology, it's your illusion. So again, they're using psychological torture to alter U.S. citizens at whatever level they could use it. And of course, they're also using witchcraft. So they're watching for Satan. That's why it's not perfect. But they can't let the whole nation go. They have to appear to be doing something. The Bible